Stop everything you are doing right now. In the next 60 seconds, something is going to shift in the spiritual atmosphere around you that will change everything. If you are hearing this message at this exact moment, it is not coincidence. Heaven has been orchestrating this divine appointment for weeks, maybe months. Your guardian angel has been waiting for you to be still enough, quiet enough, desperate enough to receive what is about to happen. 3 minutes ago, as you clicked on this video, a portal opened in the heavenly realm, not a metaphorical portal, a literal gateway between where you are right now and where God has been preparing to meet you. And that gateway is about to release something into your reality that you have been unknowingly hungry for your entire life. But I need you to understand something crucial before we go any further. What is about to happen isn't just a spiritual experience. It is a divine interruption of everything you thought you knew about God's presence in your life. Because today, He is not coming as the distant deity you pray to from across the universe. He is not showing up as the God of Sunday mornings and emergency prayers. Today, God is coming to your house, to your apartment, to your bedroom, to your kitchen table where you have cried over bills and broken dreams. He is coming to the exact space where you are sitting right now. And He is coming not as a visitor, but as someone who has been waiting to come home. You see, there is something that has been happening in the invisible realm that you haven't been aware of. While you have been struggling to feel God's presence, while you have been questioning if He really hears your prayers, while you have been wondering if you are somehow too broken or too far gone for His love, Heaven has been staging the most intimate encounter of your lifetime, and it starts now. I want you to take a deep breath, not because you need to calm down, but because something holy is about to fill the air you are breathing. Something sacred is about to settle into the space between your thoughts. And when it does, you will not need anyone to tell you that God is here. You will feel it in your bones. You will know it in your spirit. You will recognize the frequency of home. This isn't going to be a loud arrival. There will not be thunder crashing or walls shaking, but something unmistakable is about to shift in your atmosphere. The temperature might change slightly. The light might seem different. Your heart might start beating with a rhythm that feels like recognition. Because what is happening right now is that God is crossing the threshold from the realm of faith into the realm of experience. He is moving from the place where you believe He exists to the place where you know He is present. And once that happens, once you experience this kind of divine visitation, you will never be the same person again. But let me tell you why this is happening now. Why today? Why you? Why this moment? For months, maybe years, you have been living in a house that feels spiritually empty. Oh, you have been praying, you have been believing, you have been trying to maintain your faith. But if we are being honest, really honest, there have been rooms in your life that feel untouched by grace, spaces in your heart that feel unreached by love, corners of your soul that feel forgotten by heaven. You have been holding your spiritual life together with threads of hope and fragments of faith. Just enough belief to get through the day. Just enough trust to whisper a tired prayer before falling asleep. Just enough strength to keep showing up when everything in you wanted to quit. And God saw that. He saw the way you didn't give up, even when giving up looked reasonable. He saw the way you kept honoring Him when no one was watching, when no one was clapping, when no one even knew you were fighting to keep your faith alive. He saw what happened when the doors closed, what you did in the silence, how you kept believing even when belief felt like the hardest thing in the world. And now He is honoring you, not with a blessing, not with an answer to prayer, but with Himself, with His actual presence stepping into your reality. This is what is about to happen. God is going to walk into your space like He owns it, because He does. You were His dwelling place before you were even aware of what that meant. You were His temple before you had language for faith. You were His child before you ever prayed your first prayer. But here is what makes this visitation different from anything you have experienced before. This time, God isn't coming to inspect your life. He is not showing up to correct you or hold up a clipboard of everything you have done wrong. He is not coming as the judge or the critic or the disappointed parent. He is coming as the Father who saw every private breakdown that nobody else noticed. He is coming as the comforter who knows exactly what you have been carrying alone. He is coming as the one who has been aching to hold you, to speak to you, to let you know that you are not as alone as you have felt. And when he enters, everything changes. Not because the problems disappear, but because he becomes the answer. Not because the questions go away, but because he becomes the peace that surpasses understanding. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you are no longer carrying the weight of it alone. This kind of divine visitation rearranges everything. When God enters a space, chaos cannot remain. Peace begins to take root where panic used to grow. Wisdom flows where confusion once shouted. Clarity walks through your thoughts like it owns the place. You might not even realize what is shifting at first. You will just start waking up and noticing that your thoughts feel steadier. Your reactions feel less heavy. Your decisions feel less desperate. That is not just maturity, that is presence. That is what happens when the God of the universe decides to make himself at home in your reality. Some of you have been spiritually homeless for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to dwell in peace. You have been wandering through your own life like a guest, apologizing for your emotions, minimizing your dreams, trying to stay small so you don't take up too much spiritual space. But when God comes into your house, that changes too. Because he doesn't just want to be a visitor, he wants you to own the space with him, to walk through your own thoughts with authority, to speak with power, to dwell in peace as if it is your inheritance, not a luxury, because it is. You weren't meant to live spiritually homeless. You weren't created to wander endlessly hoping for a place to feel like home. You are the home, you carry his spirit. And now he is reminding you that you don't have to chase his presence. You just have to host it. But there is something else happening in this moment that you need to understand. This visitation isn't just about comfort. It is also about preparation. God isn't just coming to soothe your soul. He is coming to position you for something greater. There is something he is about to ask of you, something that will require the kind of clarity, peace, and strength that can only come from knowing that he lives in you. That is why the atmosphere of your life is being rearranged right now. That is why certain people have been falling away without drama. That is why your usual distractions don't work anymore. You are not just being visited, you are being prepared. And when the moment arrives, when God prompts you to move, to speak, to act, you will not hesitate, because the one who lives in you will have already confirmed it, not with lightning, not with signs and wonders, but with quiet certainty, because that is what his presence does. Now, let me tell you what has been happening behind the scenes while you have been wondering if God really sees you, really hears you, really cares about the details of your life. For years, there has been a conversation happening in heaven about you. Not about your mistakes, not about your failures, not about all the ways you have fallen short, but about your reputation, about who you really are versus who the world thinks you are, about the gap between your true identity and how you have been seen, treated, and valued. You see, there are people who formed opinions about you based on who you were becoming, not who you actually were. And because you were still in the middle of your transformation, still in the process of healing, still learning who you were apart from your pain, you didn't argue. You let them say what they needed to say. You let them watch what they thought was your downfall. But it wasn't a downfall. It was an undercover rising. And now something has shifted in the unseen realm. Heaven has decided it is time for the truth to catch up with your name. There is a divine interruption happening right now that is going to correct the record without you lifting a finger. Not through performance, not through explanation, not through revenge, but through undeniable revelation. Because here is what they didn't realize while they were watching you struggle, while they were whispering about your process, while they were writing you off as just another person who couldn't handle life. You were never meant to stay in the version of yourself they tried to trap you in. They were talking about someone you used to be. They underestimated what healing would do. They underestimated what God was doing behind the scenes. How he was building your character, layering your strength, sharpening your voice, deepening your roots. You didn't rush to prove anything to anyone. That was the most powerful thing about you. As hard as it was, you let the silence do the heavy lifting. You let time expose what intention never could. And now comes the exposure, but not your exposure. Theirs. The ones who tried to keep your name small because your presence made them uncomfortable. The ones who called your depth too much because they were committed to staying shallow. The ones who whispered about you, hoping the whispers would travel faster than your truth. God is about to make sure the truth outruns every one of those whispers. And it will not be loud. It will be surgical. You will walk into the same rooms they used to avoid you in, and this time they will not be able to look away. You will speak the same truths they used to laugh at, and this time they will feel them land. You will stand in the same spirit you have always had, and this time they will recognize the weight it carries. Because here is what is happening right now in this very moment. On one side, you are beginning to exude a different kind of energy, and on the other side, God is recalibrating the atmosphere around you. He is shifting the lens people use when they look at you, not to inflate your ego but to restore accuracy. This isn't a glow-up. This is a divine rerouting of misperception. You weren't out here trying to impress anyone. You were busy healing quietly, deeply. And because your healing didn't come with a social media announcement, because your transformation wasn't performed for an audience, they assumed nothing had changed. They assumed wrong. This isn't karma. This isn't revenge. This is God saying enough. It is time they face the truth about who you really are. You never needed a microphone. You just needed alignment. And now that alignment is beginning to show, you will notice it in the way people address you differently, in the way certain opportunities come with respect already baked in the way those who once dismissed you now hesitate before speaking your name because your energy now carries a weight that cannot be denied anymore. This is the outcome of keeping faith during the hardest seasons. This is what happens when heaven places your name in rooms where your defense isn't needed, because your presence becomes the proof, not a loud, aggressive entrance, just clarity, truth, and undeniable presence. And for the first time in a long time, it will be impossible for anyone to mislabel you again. But here is what no one talks about during seasons of restoration. It is not just the rejection that hurts. It is the long season afterward when nothing seems to move. When the silence is louder than the betrayal ever was, you carry yourself with grace. But the questions grow heavier. Was I wrong? Did I imagine the calling? Maybe they were right about me. And yet something deep in you would never fully let go of the truth. Not because you were clinging to fantasy, but because you recognized something holy in your story that the world hadn't yet seen. You have had to live as the one who almost made it, the one with something unexplainable about them, too spiritual for some circles, too grounded for others, too aware to stay blind, too kind to become bitter. You have had to master how to stand tall while being sized up, studied, and second-guessed by people who never saw beyond the surface. But that season is ending, because this is the moment where heaven is about to interrupt the narrative. Not to inflate your ego, but to correct the record. Because when God assigns favor, He doesn't ask for permission. And when it is time to be seen clearly, nothing can hide what has been burning beneath the surface for years. Your reputation isn't being restored. It is being rewritten from the inside out, because the world saw your silence as weakness. They saw your patience as passivity. They saw your humility as evidence that you weren't ready. But none of it was weakness. It was strategy, divine strategy. And now the timing has shifted. This is the season when your alignment starts speaking louder than the assumptions people made about you. This is the moment when the opportunities that used to pass you by start circling back. And this time, they stop. Because heaven has already stamped approved on something that used to be denied. You will know it is happening not because everyone suddenly becomes kind, but because the resistance will start to sound a lot more like reverence. The same ones who thought you were just another dreamer are about to realize you were always the blueprint. And it is not because you chased a platform. It is because you kept becoming when no one even noticed. You became steady when chaos came. You became generous when you barely had enough. You became wise when all you had was pain to study. And now that foundation is undeniable, the shift in your reputation isn't a marketing campaign. It is not manufactured. It is spiritual. It is the result of invisible roots growing deep while you looked like a late bloomer to everyone else. They thought you were behind, but you were being backed by heaven. And when God backs you, no human effort can block what is due. But there is something else happening alongside this restoration of your reputation. Something even deeper. There is a kind of homesickness that has been growing in your chest. A pull towards something you have never touched. A place you have never visited. A version of life you have never seen with your eyes. but somehow you know it exists. And that knowing doesn't come from books or conversations. It comes from your bones, from something ancient in your spirit. You don't know how to explain it. You just know when you are not where you belong. You have been walking through your current season like a guest in someone else's house. You have tried, really tried, to make peace with where you are. But no matter how grateful you are, no matter how disciplined or faithful or focused you have been, you still feel like something is missing. You feel the mismatch in the details, like you were built for a different rhythm, different relationships, different roles, a different reason to wake up in the morning. You are not wrong or delusional. You are not ungrateful or broken. What you are feeling isn't confusion. It is the awareness that your soul has outgrown its current coordinates. And sometimes God doesn't explain that feeling because He is not trying to soothe it. He is trying to activate it. This discomfort, this longing, this sense that you are out of alignment with your own life. It is a preparation signal. You are not just shifting emotionally, your entire energetic blueprint is starting to reconfigure. Because something in your next season, your next location, your next environment, your next identity has been marked for you, and it is getting closer. But before it can arrive, something sacred happens. God doesn't just relocate your body, He relocates your spirit first. And that is why you feel the tension right now. Because your body is still walking in the old chapter, but your soul is already standing in the next one. And that gap is what you have been calling homesickness. It is not a place on a map. It is a life that fits. A life where your voice isn't watered down to be acceptable, where your presence isn't misunderstood or tolerated, or reduced to your usefulness. A life where peace isn't a struggle to maintain, it is built into the foundation. You are not meant to feel fully settled right now because you are not staying here. You are not meant to get too comfortable because God is already packing up the parts of you that will not be needed where you are going. This is a divine relocation, not just physically, but energetically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And for some of you, it will involve being moved to a new city, a new home, a new community. But for others, the move will not be across geography. It will be across identity. You will wake up and realize the life you have been living is too small for who you have become. Not because it is bad, but because it is not yours anymore. It fit the old you, the one who needed to survive, the one who was still proving something, the one who hadn't yet remembered how to belong to themselves. But now something in you is whispering, it is time. And that whisper will not stop. No matter how many routines you keep, no matter how many reminders you give yourself to be grateful, no matter how many times you say this is enough, because your spirit is already traveling. It is already in motion. It is already walking towards something that will finally feel like home. Not because it is easy, but because it is aligned. Home isn't a place, it is a frequency. And when you finally match it, you will know. Until then, don't ignore the ache. Don't dismiss the whisper. Don't try to convince yourself to stay in a room your soul is already leaving. What you are feeling is not emptiness. It is the space being cleared so something real can land. And it will land sooner than you think. But first you had to stop mistaking familiarity for belonging. God isn't asking you to settle down. He is asking you to listen, to let the longing speak, to let the ache be holy. Because He is not trying to torture you with what you don't have. He is trying to point you toward what is about to arrive. There is a reason you have been losing your taste for things that once satisfied you. The conversations you used to tolerate now feel noisy. The places you used to go now feel like echoes of someone you don't want to be anymore. That is not you falling apart. That is your system updating. And when God gets ready to move you, He doesn't just open new doors. He lets the old ones get loud first. So loud that you finally stop pretending you don't hear the creak in the floor, the peeling paint, the silence between people who were supposed to love you. And one day you look around and realize, I have outstayed my season. Not because you failed, but because you have grown. That feeling you have been calling restlessness, that is how a soul prepares for departure. Where you are going isn't a version of your past slightly improved. It is not a nicer neighborhood with the same identity. It is not just a cleaner space with the same silence. Where you are going will require a new version of you, not because you need to fix yourself, but because the frequency of your future will not support what you have already outgrown. This is why people start falling away. This is why routines start failing you. This is why you feel the urge to purge your closet, clear your desk, unfollow people, rethink your entire day. You are not being dramatic. You are being redirected. And here is what I need you to understand about this entire process. The divine visitation, the reputation restoration, the spiritual relocation, it is all connected. It is all part of one massive shift that God has been orchestrating in your life. The visitation is preparing you to receive who you really are. The reputation restoration is clearing the path for where you are going, and the relocation is positioning you for what you are called to do. Because there is a place, an assignment, a chapter where you will not feel like a guest in your own story, and it is not far. But before you walk into it, God needed you to release what has been holding you down. Even the things that look stable, even the things that once felt safe, even the people you thought you couldn't leave behind. Because what is next isn't just about new blessings, it is about right placement. There is an ecosystem, spiritual, relational, emotional, that will sustain you without draining you. You will not have to beg for energy. You will not have to fake your joy. You will not have to carry all the weight alone. And when you get there, you will look back and understand that every ache was preparation. Every disappointment was redirection. Every closed door was protection. Every season of waiting was incubation. You were never lost. You were being led. And now, as God visits your house, as He restores your reputation, as He relocates your spirit, you are about to step into the life that was designed specifically for you. Not the life you thought you wanted, not the life that looks good on social media, but the life that fits your soul like it was custom made, because it was. So get ready. The ache in your chest has done its job. The waiting season has served its purpose. And now God is about to open a door that doesn't just invite you in, it recognizes you. And this time when you enter, it will feel like coming home, because you are not just being blessed, you are being positioned. You are not just being healed, you are being prepared. You are not just being loved, you are being launched into the fullness of who you were created to be. And that starts now. With this visitation, with this restoration, with this relocation, with this moment when heaven interrupts your reality and reminds you that you belong to something bigger, something better, something that has been waiting for you to be ready to receive it. Welcome home.